this session, we'll be discussing DTD. Let's first understand what well-formed and valid XMLs are. An XML document with a correct syntax is called well-formed. An XML document validated against a DTD is both well-formed and valid. DTD stands for Document Type Definition. Why use a DTD? DTD enables us to define the components of an XML document. Components could be elements or attributes. Okay, DTD enables us to define the components of an XML document and put them where we want them to be. With a DTD, independent groups of people can agree on a standard DTD for interchanging data. For example, when two or more parties are exchanging information using XML, the syntax of the XML should be same in all the parties. Otherwise, it causes all kinds of confusion. So from this, we can slowly understand that DTD is a set of rules you can define for your XML documents. A DTD defines the structure and the legal elements and attributes of an XML document. Let's see the syntax of a DTD. The syntax of a DTD is something like this. It starts with a doc type delimiter. Here, element is the root element, which tells the parser to parse the document from the specified root element. DTD identifier is an identifier which may be a path to a file on the system or URL to a file on the internet. Next, element declaration. Let's have a look at an XML. Here, if you can see, product details is the root element. Product is another element, which is holding few more elements. Okay. From this, we can understand that XML elements can be defined as building blocks of an XML document. Elements can behave as a container to hold text, elements, attributes, media objects, or mix of all. If you can see here, product is an element which is holding other elements, and this product ID is also an element which is holding an integer. Product name is an element which is holding a text. So elements act or behave like containers. Okay, let's see the declaration of element in DTD. So it goes like this. It starts with an element delimiter. Here, element name is the name of the element, and content could be elements, attributes, text, or mix of all. Let's see an example. Let's try to write a DTD when we want the XML to be of this format. We'll be discussing category, attributes in next coming videos. Here I'm using an XML editor called Blueprint so that I can validate the document. Okay, let's start. Okay, we'll use the same XML format. Okay, this is the way. Right, product details is the root element. Product, right, the same details. Okay, let's save the file first. Okay, I'll save it as internal DTD dot okay, XML. There are two types of DTDs. One is internal, the other one is external. When you declare a DTD within the XML document, it is said to be internal. When you create or when you write a DTD in a separate file, that is said to be external. So first we're going to create an internal DTD. Okay, so we know DTD will always start with a delimiter called doc type. Okay, doc type. Next will be the root element. So root element is product details. Okay. What does product details contain? It contains an element called product. Okay, now this is not like this. Okay, according to the syntax, okay, we have to open a uh, we have to open a square bracket. Okay, after that we'll close that and we'll close the root elements bracket. Okay, before that let's try it, let's add an attribute saying standalone is equal to yes. Because why yes? Because we are not using any external file. We are declaring the doc type inside, we are declaring a DTD inside the XML document itself. So standalone is equal to yes. Okay, after this, so doc type product details. After that, what is an which is the element here? Element again will say product details. Okay, what does product details contain? It contains another element with a name product. Okay, next. Now we'll see, we'll add another element. Okay, product, which is product. Okay, after this product details, we'll write this element product. Okay, and what are the elements which it what are the contents of product element? It contains product ID, product name, and product price. So we'll write in the same order. We want it to be in the same order, so we write it in the order which we want. Okay, product ID, next product name, product price. So this is done. Okay, now we got to know that product contains these many elements. After that, we'll declare these elements independently. Okay, now the first element is the product ID. Okay, it's an element which contains PC data. PC data stands for passable character data. Next, we'll do the same for other two elements. Prod price, and again it's a PC data. Okay, let there be a space. And let's just stick on to one element as of now. Okay, so let there be only one element. Okay, now let's try to validate it. Validate to check whether it's well formed as well as valid. So we want to check whether this XML is valid or not. Okay, let's try to, this is the way we validate. Okay, what is it? A pseudo attribute name expected, where okay, oh, we have missed this question mark here. Okay, and we'll try to validate it again. Okay, now it says XML is valid. Okay, now this is working fine. This is fine. This is valid. Let's try adding another element to this. So I'll just copy the same element, try to modify it. I'll make it as a printer. And let it be 5000. Okay, I've just added another element. Okay, let's try to validate it. There's an error. The content of element type must match with the product. Okay, so it is in many cases it is necessary to specify the number of times, okay, to specify the number of times that a child element may appear. Okay, this can be done in a DTD declaration by adding a modifier to the child element specification. Let's see how to do it. Okay, so there are about 5 modifiers or operators. Let's take one by one. Okay, when you add a plus sign here, okay, when you add a plus sign here, okay, this is, I'm adding a plus modifier here. Okay, when you add a modifier plus, let's see what happens. It says it is valid. So plus indicates that the child element can occur one or more times inside a parent element. Okay, these elements can be one or more. I can add another element also. Okay, now next is the next but okay, so plus indicates one or more elements, but when I try to remove both the elements here, okay, I'll just try to remove both the elements here. Okay, and I'll try to validate it. See what happens. There's an error. Okay, with plus sign there's an error without any content. Okay, plus indicates one or more. Okay, so for this, let's see what happens when we add this symbol, this operator. Okay, let's try to validate it. Okay, it is valid. So this operator, okay, asterisk operator indicates that the child element can occur 0 or more times inside the parent element. Okay, so now it's appearing, the child elements are appearing twice. Let's see what happens if I remove this. So 0 or more times it can appear. So when I try to validate it, it's still valid, unlike the plus sign. Okay, for this operator, asterisk operator, the occurrences can be 0 or more. For plus operator, it was minimum one element had to be there. Okay, minimum one element should be there. Okay, this is about plus and asterisk. Let's see the next element, next modifier. Next modifier is the question mark. The question mark operator gives us a sequence of, sorry, it indicates the child, it indicates that child element can occur 0 or 1 time inside a parent element. Okay, it can appear 0 or 1. Okay, only 2 options are there. So when you try to execute this, let's see, it should throw an error because there are 2 elements here. But for this question mark, only 0 or 1 element is allowed. Okay, so it is showing an error. When we try to remove this, when we try to remove the child elements, it should be valid, right? Now with only one element, it should be valid. Okay, but with 2 elements, 1 or more, it will be invalid. Okay, I hope this much is clear. Next is the comma operator. Okay, here if you can see, the elements are separated by comma operator. It also specifies the order in which the element should be declared. See, product ID, name, and price. Here the XML is should be in the same way, in the same order: ID, name, and price. Even if you try to make a change, even if you try to change it, it will throw an error. Okay, if you change the order of this, it will throw an error. Okay, let's see. Let's try to validate it. Okay, must match. It should match this. Okay. Next is the OR operator. OR operator allows us to choose the child elements. For example, if we need either product ID or product name, we can use this OR operator. How? Let's see how to do it. See? So it means when we want a product element to have either product ID or product name and product price, we have to use an OR operator. Okay, like this, and we'll close it here. Okay, it means product next element should be either product ID or product name. Both the elements cannot appear along with product price. Here, okay, if product ID is there, we have to remove product name because OR operator is used. We want any one of them, any one of these. Okay, here when let's retain name and remove the ID. Okay. Okay, so product element should either contain ID or name and product price. Okay, let's try to validate it, and it is valid. What will happen when we try to add? Let's try adding ID and name together. Let's see what happens. It gives us an error. Must match with this. Okay. I hope this much is clear.